Alright guys, welcome back to a new tutorial video on FiveM Esx scripting. It's been a while since I made a video, mainly because I've been very busy with work. I code as a job now, so yeah, it's update I guess. Before the video begins though, I just want to let you guys know the best way to give me ideas for videos and stuff like that would be in my Discord. If you go here, you can see there's already people made suggestions. So the first one here is how to use Esx menu default, and that's what I'm going to go over in this video. I will try my best to get to all these suggestions, but it's just too hard to do in one video or one series. I might live stream it. That'd probably be easiest for me, but we'll see when it comes to it. Onto the video. Alright, so I have the default layout set up. So I have my client script, my server script, and my FX manifest. Like I've discussed in previous videos, they're all linked up. So the client scripts, you don't actually need to give any dependencies in this, because you're going to have Esx launch at the very start. So Esx will always be launched before this, basically. Alright. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to use that the menu that comes with Esx. So for example, when you have the animation menu, it's very ugly by default, but you can customize it. How to use that one. It's probably best to use that one on your server rather than using your native UI, because if you have like a server with scripts off the forums, it doesn't really make sense, like continuity, to have like say one script has native UI, one script has the Esx menu, maybe another script has the war menu. It's just so it all looks the same and it all looks nice and clean. Also, you can actually customize the menu to look really nice, and I think in my opinion anyway, you can make it look a lot better than native UI. So to start this off, we're going to go into our client file, because the menu is going to be on the client side. It's not a server side thing, because it doesn't affect the server, it only affects the player, so each individual player. So if I press a button, I don't want the menu to pop up on every player screen. I want it just to pop up on the player screen, the player. Anyway, so if you look at my previous videos, you should have known about the Esx Boilerplate. It's basically just all the stuff you need to import the Esx. Basically, just import the Esx files into your script. There'll be a link in the description if you want to have the Esx Boilerplate. So yeah. So if you guys want to get this boilerplate, or you might already have it, but if you don't have it, just go into the description and copy and paste the client, and then copy and paste the server one, and this is all you need. You don't need to know what this means, it's not really a big deal. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to have a menu, and this menu will have multiple different options. One will be giving the player a weapon. We'll figure out the rest as we go, but yeah, one will be giving the player a weapon. So the best way of doing this, really, to make it look clean, is we want to put the menu in a function, because we don't want to when we call like to open a menu, we don't want a bunch of code in one block. It just looks very messy, so we can separate it out into functions, and that way it just looks nicer, I guess. So a function, we're going to call it open menu. Yeah, so open menu. You can be a bit more semantic, and you can have more meaning to it, but I mean, it just makes sense, right? Open menu. So we're not going to pass anything through, because we're just calling for the menu to open. Alright, so this is how you actually create the menu. So what you want to do is you want to type esx.ui. So this is basically calling this Esx framework that you're using, and then it's calling like the UI section of it, like it's split up in different sections. So there's Esx game, Esx UI, Esx streaming. It's all different sections. You can read about it in the documentation if you want, or you can wait till future videos. So Esx UI.menu and then .open. Now, just before we go any further, I don't know why it's .open, because you don't do, like, to close this menu, you don't type, you know, esx.ui.menu.close. I'll show you how you do it, but you don't type that. So I'm not sure why it's open, but just do that anyway. So in quotations, you want to type default. Always has to be default. It's just saying, like, getting the skin, I think it is. And then you have to type get current resource name. It's a function, so make sure you put your parentheses. And basically, it just gets whatever you have the resource name to. So I have my name to opod_menu, so it gets that. You can always just type your name, but I mean, if you change the name down in the future, you'd have to go into the script and you'd have to change it. So just do get current resource name. It's easier. So here's like the best way to describe this is like the task list. So for example, if you have this menu, say you call it general menu, right? So if I call this general menu, and then I wanted to create another menu, right? And it's called general menu. I can't open this menu if this menu is already open, because they're both like the same. I guess the best way to describe it is like a queue. You always have to be the first in queue. But if I call it this, say resource menu, it would actually open. It would open and it would close this one down. So that's just something to keep in mind for, you know, future, you know, coding. So now what you want to do is you want to type a comma and then curly brackets. So the curly brackets basically just mean an array, or a hash table. Is what a hash table is what it's called in LUA. We went over this in previous videos just to give you a little, you know, refresher, because it's been a while. So what you want to type is title equals, and then whatever name you want. You know, at the very top there's a little title bar. So I'll just type general menu. Then when you're done typing your title, you just type a comma and then a line equals. So there's different styles of a line. There's I believe it's top left or it's top left. It's one of these. I think it's top left, or there's top right. I believe there's bottom right and bottom left. I think there's a center. But what I like doing is just left. I think it looks the nicest, to be honest. So I'm going to do left in this one, and then comma. So Datatype Elements is equal to a hash table. So basically, the elements is each like item inside of the menu. So it's each option, right? So if you think about it, the way I described it, say that this is the the gun, right? So this is spawn assault rifle or spawn carbine rifle. Then this is like I don't even know, kill player, like kill yourself, suicide. This is suicide. And then say this one would just be like printed console. Okay, so each hash is an option. So each hash is an option. If you were calling, so say if you're calling it dynamically, the best way to do it, so if anyone doesn't know what dynamically means, it basically means instead of writing say 1 option, 2 option, 3 option, instead of doing all that, what you can do is have up here, you'd normally put this in config, but you type, say, local options equals this, and then you just type the options here. This really is just for making it more configurable for an average user, or it would be if you're calling from a database, you could use this. I'll give examples in future videos, but I just want to get the basics in this done first. So just just to so you guys kind of understand this concept, I'm going to basically write the elements in this hash table, and then I'm going to put it into this one, so you can kind of understand what I mean by configurable and dynamic and stuff like that. So we're going to have 3. So this one here is going to spawn a carbine rifle. This one is going to commit suicide, and this one is going to print to console. Let's just say something very cheesy like "Hello World." You have to put the comma because you know that's how us programmers do it. We do "Hello, comma world." It's grammatically correct. All right. So basically, the only option, like the only field that is needed, it has to be in here, is the field label. So label basically is what the user would see. So I could call it anything. I could call this spawn Carabine, or witchcraft Carabine, and this is the option, like the name of the option. So you might see like in the police job arrest player, this is what you put in here, right? So witchcraft Carabine. Then next to that you do a comma for another a parameter, and this can be anything you want. So say if you want to pass 5 different parameters in, we can pass 5 different parameters in. I will go over it in the future, but right now I think I'm just going to show you the very basics of this. So right now we're going to do a value, right? So this value is basically just an easy way of figuring out which option is clicked. Okay, so say because this is the spawn Carabine one, I'm going to do spawn underscore Carabine. I'm just going to repeat this for the next couple of ones. So this label will be, I don't know, demonetize myself, and then value, and then inside this I'll just type suicide. I'll explain a bit more once this is done. I need this done to show you better. So do the exact same thing here. So say I'll do cheesy line, and then value will be equal to hello underscore world. So now that we have all these options done out inside of so now we have all these options done out inside of a variable, like a hash table. All we need to do is remove this hash in the elements and just type in options. So basically all this is saying is it is copying, is it essentially just copying this and pasting it here. That's all it's doing. I would recommend you get used to this method, because when you get more advanced you will be using this type of way of bringing it in rather than hard coding it. Alright, so now just before the parameter, the closing parameter, and right after the closing curly bracket, you want to type function. And inside this function is very important. You need to type data, comma menu. This is like insanely important. So type end, and then one more comma, and it's going to sound a bit repetitive, but you type another function inside that. You type data comma menu. I'll explain this in a second. This is where stuff gets confusing for people. Alright, so inside this function, I might be able to just here. So okay, yeah. So inside this function, this is what controls what happens when a player clicks on an item, selects an item. Okay, so this is where you'd control all your logic for, like, if a player selects, was it witchcraft Carabine, it gives the player a Carabine. And then this right here, so this second function is when the menu is closed, when you press backspace, what actually happens. So closes menu. Usually all you'd want to do is type menu.close in here, but say if you're For example, the other day I was working on a script where you can loot dead bodies, but I didn't want other players to be able to loot a body if I'm looting it. So I had it in the database that when I'm looting it, it would set the value to 1, and then when I'm not looting it, it would set it to 0. But the thing is, if I didn't close the if I closed the menu, so if in this function right here, that's when I set it off that it was 0, if that makes sense. So when the menu's closed, so it can be used for multiple ways, you know, to tracking if the menu's closed and all that, but typically you just type menu.close. So we're already halfway done. Now we have a function to, you know, figure out if the menu is closed. It closes the menu. So if you press backspace, it closes the menu. That should make sense. I'm not really sure if it does, but basically all it says, if you press backspace, it closes the menu. Now here is where like all the, you know, weird stuff happens, right? So there's multiple ways of going about this. Typically what you're going to see is basically you're going to type if data.current.value. So basically this means if the selected object, right? So data.current basically gets whichever one of these objects is selected. So that would be the same thing really as saying if this dot value, basically, right? If you selected spawn Carabine, if that dot value, and what dot value means is it gets this dot value parameter from it. So it will actually receive. So the you know, like this data.current value, what it actually is equal to is spawn Carabine in this case, because like in this use case scenario we're actually selecting Witchcraft Carabine, so it equals to this, right? I hope that makes sense. So if this is equal to double equals, by the way, if this is equal to spawn underscore Carabine, then we'll do end for this, but we're going to be changing it to an else if statement soon. Or actually, no, we won't. We'll keep it this way, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do spawn Carabine, and we'll do this function in a minute. I just want to get this menu stuff out of the way, and then we'll do the function for the functionality. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this down, and I'm going to type if this is equal to suicide, which is this value. So if this, you know, if this option is selected, then I'll do suicide. I'll run the suicide function, and I'll just type suicide so you understand. And if it's equal to hello world, I'll type print hello, and I'll just type hello world, so this makes sense. So that's it. That's the menu. The menu's done, completely done. So now we just need to add the functionality to it. So we need to have a way of making the menu open up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a citizen.create thread function end, like we've done in many videos, many times in a few videos. I guess I'm very inactive, but while true, do end, and we're going to do a citizen.wait for about 5, maybe 10 milliseconds, but we don't want to go too long because say if it's like 20 or 30, you'd have to like spam, you know, the key to open the menu, because it waits and then it doesn't detect it. So if is control just released, I think that's it. Yeah, is control just released. I'm gonna do, so if you go up here, FiveM key codes. So I'm going to make it so if G is pressed, yeah, G, so 47 is a number, so 047, then end. So if it is pressed, we're going to run command open menu. So just to be certain that the menu isn't open beforehand, all we're going to do is up here we're going to define a variable called is menu open equal to false, because by default you're not going to have the menu open. So is Control G just pressed, and is menu open. Sorry, and not is menu open. So this means if the menu isn't open, then it will open the menu. And then all we need to do now is here, if it opens the menu, we're going to type is menu open equal to true, and down here, if the menu is closed, is menu open is equal to false. So this is a use case scenario, I guess, for when you'd use the closes menu thing. Usually what you want to do is you want to close down the menu before you actually use any functionality. So what I would do here is I'd actually, inside this selection, I type menu close, because all that means is when you select an option, it will close the menu down. You know, some people prefer to have it open, but I like having it closed, so I'm going to type menu close here. Whenever I select an option, it will close the menu. Or it will sorry, if I select an option, it'll close the menu, or if I press backspace, it'll close the menu. And then I guess if I'm closing the menu here, I'm going to have to do is menu open is equal to false here, right? So now that's done, we need to add the functionality, so spawn Carabine. So function spawn Carabine end. So if we go to the FiveM natives, there's a native called give a weapon to ped. So all we're going to do is we're going to copy that, and we're going to type give weapon to ped player ped ID, which is basically your player, your current player, like, and then it's looking for a weapon hash. So let's look for the carbine rifle in here, right here, carbine rifle. So we're going to do get hash key, because it's looking for the weapon hash, not the model name. And then here we're going to do ammo count, so let's just do 300. Is it hidden? Basically that doesn't really mean much. Like, just do false, but it doesn't really change anything as far as I know. And equip now, so it just means when you get the weapon, do you want it to equip in your hand, or do you want it to just be like passively, like you get it in your inventory and you can pull out whenever you want. I'm going to do equipped in your hands. Now, if you guys don't know, numbers in coding represent true and false value. So as I can do here, false true, it would also be the exact same thing if I typed 0, or I believe a negative number works as well. So say if I wanted to do -1 comma 500, or sorry, 400, this still means false true. All right, and it'd be same for 0. 0 means false. Anything above 0 is a positive, and that means true. That's just a little tip for coding. It's just how computers work, I guess. So give weapon to ped. Oh, I opened my server file. Oh, I closed my client. You're actually not going to need a server file in this, I don't think. So this spawns the weapons in the player. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to type esx show notification. And this is basically just using the Esx framework to notify the player. You have been given a carbine by the gods. Alright, there's just, something little to type. Now all we need to do is do the same thing for the suicide function. So function suicide end. And then we just need to look for a native. So I'm assuming kill player explode head. I believe explode head is a thing, but I don't really know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do set entity health. I'm just going to set my health to 0, right? So set entity health, player ped ID 0. Now, so that will commit suicide. I'm going to also just bring this notification down saying you have chosen the easy way out, just kind of like GT Online if I don't play that. And then this last one will just say it'll print hello in the server console. So print hello world and an exclamation mark. Welcome to Stack Overflow. And then I'm going to change this to print hello. So that is it. That is the code. This is how you make a menu. Anyway, hey, just quickly to preface, if I recorded the gameplay, for some reason, the frames dropped and the screen was like frozen the entire time. So I included the script. The script. It's inside the Discord server. So if you just join the Discord server below, go to script releases, I think it's called. It's called tutorial releases. So just join that server, go to tutorial releases, and join and download the Esx menu one, and you can use it in game, and you'll see it works perfectly. Anyway, carrying on with the video. All right, so to go over all this. This is all the elements that you have in the menu, all the options you have. This is a label. This is the value that you use to check which option's been selected. Then this is a function for the option. This is how you close the menu using the menu.close, and this is this handles the backspace when you press backspace. Then functions, this is just functions, and how you open the menu is you just type if is control just pressed, or maybe if you're in a marker, you do that functionality for being in a marker, and then if control is pressed, it'll open the menu. Whichever way, you could do literally any way possible. So yeah, that is how the menu works. It's actually very simple. I personally believe it's easier than native UI, but that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you need any help, join the Discord. The link will be in the description. And yeah, hopefully I'll get more videos out soon. But I've been very busy. If you guys need any custom scripts made for your for your server, I have a Fiverr account. If you guys need anything done, it'll be in the description below. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video.